This is part two. For some reason, this software is not working this morning. So somehow, some way, the recording feature got uh, stopped. It stopped recording. So I just went ahead and stopped the video from going any further, just in case information got lost. What you see here is some British left wingers who are who are complaining about all of those companies listed on that banner and how they have been exploiting Africans and profiting off of the resources that Africa provides. And they've been doing this shit for years. Now, it's funny that some of you have the nerve to try to call the Iceman out and try to call the Iceman a crook and the Creflo Dollar of YouTube, and where do I get off charging black folks to provide them information. But you don't have a problem with Monsanto doing what they do, selling you GMO product, GMO genetically modified vegetables and meat. You don't have a problem with them providing GMO fruit and vegetables to your ass that can potentially cause cancer in the human body. Oh no, you don't have any complaints about that. But you got to complain about paying $29.99 for some information. I think the sad part about most of you, whether you're a paid or non-paid subscriber or a former subscriber, the sad part about you is you think information should be free. And you don't see how it's a good idea and an investment to invest in your intelligence and your health, as well as your spiritual and mental health. You don't think any of that is important. So what do you do to deal with all of the stresses of being a black man or a black woman in America? You smoke weed. I don't want to hear nothing about no motherfucking ice, man. I don't want to hear about getting my ass up off the couch and getting a job or start my own business. I don't want to hear that shit. All I want to do is sit here and smoke weed. It's the Bombay, dog. I'm getting hella faded. That's all you want to fucking do. Because you know the Iceman is calling you to action. I was thinking the other day about the Million Man March that happened back in '95. And I thought about, at the time, I thought it was, the greatest thing since toilet tissue. But then years later, I realized it was the most symbolically stupid thing that black men or women could do. It was a total waste of time. And obviously, most of you don't remember because you were probably babies or you weren't even around. You were still swimming around your daddy's nutsack. And so the Million Man March, which is a total waste of time, total waste of it was a total waste of symbolism because it accomplished nothing. They supposedly raised all this money at the march, and nobody knows where it went. Farrakhan challenged all the people who made it to the Million Man March. He challenged it. He challenged all those black men to put some money up. And to this day, I don't know where the money went. And they raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. Nothing came out of it. No congressional policies, no laws came out of it, nothing. Just a bunch of pontificating and bullshitting as usual, and giving white folks plenty to laugh at. Y'all look at those black folks, they're having another march. Nothing came out of the Million Man March. Not a damn thing. The problem is not just black men, it's black men and black women. I just thought it was a simp fest because you got niggas going there talking about telling black women we sorry for what we've done to you. Black men ain't done shit to black women other than suffered from slavery and Jim Crow, racism and white supremacy over the past 400 years. Just as the black woman has been subjugated and disrespected and dehumanized, so has the black man. And for black men to get up there and go to the Million Man March to apologize to black women, yet we getting the same white pale foot kicked in our asses, is totally fucking ridiculous. What black women are doing, they are doing to themselves in present day. Nobody's making these black women lay up with these black men and have 5 or 6 kids by 5 or 6 different dudes. Nobody is making these women single moms. They're making themselves single moms because they could just as easily go and get an IUD put up in their vagina. They could get on birth control, or they could make the guy wear a condom. So all of this bullshit talking and pontificating that black women are doing, trying to accuse black men of fucking them over, is a fucking joke. Because nobody's making these women do a fucking thing. It's just like when these porn stars go out here and call themselves trying to help get current porn stars out of the business, ex-porn stars. Women, we're being dehumanized and subjugated and disrespected. Nobody's making them nasty assholes drive up to Chatsworth, California, and where all these companies are, Vivid, and all these porno companies are. Nobody's making them go to California and do these goddamn movies. Nobody's making those women do shit. These women are doing this shit on their own volition. And for them to take the moral high ground or to take the moral high road after they done made hundreds of thousands of dollars off getting fucked in the ass and getting fucked in the vagina, and they gonna sit somewhere and try to demonize the white males who produce 99% of the movies coming out of that area, is totally ludicrous to me. Even though these women have grown older and they no longer do, some of these women no longer do porn, they still got the taste of 50,000 dicks and cum in their mouth that they'll never be able to rinse out of their mouth no matter how much Listerine they gargle with. So who are these bitches fooling? It's funny to me how the white man can always profit off of somebody else's pain and then jump on the other side and talk about that's morally wrong and we need to stop it. Hey, don't y'all find that to be interesting? There's a movie called The Cove, a documentary that was made back in 2006 and 7. And I used to listen to Air America and talk radio. It's on the AM dial. It's actually a nationwide program of different radio personalities that come on for 3 or 4 hours and then somebody else comes on. And I used to listen to these guys with my headphones on because I didn't want nobody listening to nothing. I didn't want nobody knowing what I was listening to. And The Cove is a documentary about how the Japanese slaughter dolphins for dolphin meat. And the guy, one of the guys that was head of one or two of those nonprofits that were trying to get them to stop doing this was the guy. I don't know if you guys remember this show. Those of you who are my age, you probably do. There was a show they used to come on called Flipper, and it was a show about this trained dolphin that was in captivity. And the dolphin used to do little tricks, and it was so-called wholesome family entertainment. It's funny to me how SeaWorld can have killer whales and dolphins and sea lions and seals do dumbass, stupid-ass tricks for stupid-ass goofball tourists every year at their theme parks. And PETA doesn't say shit about that, but yet they outraged about Michael Vick fighting some stinking ass, nasty ass dogs. They don't say anything about horse racing, how they dope up those horses to go run at Churchill Downs and Del Mar and everywhere else and Santa Anita, and how they disrespect them horses and treat them like shit when they can't run anymore. But these are the same people that demonize Michael Vick. Y'all see the irony and all that? But this show Flipper had this trained dolphin doing all these tricks and amusing audiences, not just in the United States but even around the world, where this show was distributed. And the dolphin trainer, who was also an actor on the show, is one of the guys who was leading this charge to get Japan to do something about them slaughtering these dolphins. And so during the documentary, he was explaining how dolphins are very intelligent, and having them in captivity causes them to commit suicide. I didn't know any of this stuff. He was saying they're so intelligent, they get so sick and tired of doing tricks and being treated like that, that they will purposely go underwater and not come back up and not come back up to get air. That takes a highly intelligent, functioning animal to do that. And he said he witnessed this over and over and over again. He said sometimes they had to use multiple dolphins because some of the dolphins would not perform. They got so depressed, they didn't want to perform. So they would go get a replacement. Obviously, you don't know the difference. Hell, you can't tell the females from the males. But this fucking hypocrite sat up there, he talking about he bought a new Ferrari every year. Now he's sitting up here making millions of dollars off of this show, and now all of a sudden he gonna jump on the other side with the conservationists and be against Japan slaughtering dolphins. First of all, Japan is a sovereign nation. Why are you over there meddling in their affairs? Now they show footage of them trapping these dolphins in this cove in this part of the beach area, and they would seal it off, and then they would just kill all these dolphins, including the babies. And I thought to myself, how convenient it is for this prick to profit on both sides and sit there in front of the camera with a straight face and talk like he cares so much about these dolphins. Like I've said, I don't know how many times on this show, white folks love getting their 15 minutes of fame. And this old 70-year-old or 80-year-old man is trying to justify what he did 40 years ago for a living as a dolphin trainer and an actor. The show was highly successful. And then he goes into bragging about what kind of lifestyle he built for himself. Now we're supposed to sit here and accept that all of a sudden now he's a decent human being. That is the art of bullshitting. And only the white man could pull it off. A cognitive distortion is when a person is presented with the facts and he or she chooses to not embrace or grasp the facts, and they continue to function as an illogical human being. That right there is the manifestation of stupidity. I was looking at a couple articles on Yahoo News, and it was talking about how, Americans are struggling, and a lot of Americans are not making it, and obviously they only or mainly talk to good Christian white folks. Nobody else was affected by the recession. And only white folks' problems are important. Fuck everybody else's. And it was interesting how they were discussing on one article, and I'm trying to pull it up right now so I can read some of it, but for some fucking reason, my Internet Explorer keeps fucking up. And I have other search engine platforms on my computer, but this is the most efficient. And I finally pulled an article up. It's called Here's Why Renters in America Feel Trapped. And I thought this was a very interesting article. And they were talking about home ownership. And I'm going to read some of the article, and then I'm going to summarize and break down some of this information. In a recent report by the FINRA Investor Education Foundation, researchers offer a sobering peek into the homes of renters. Nearly 1/4 of renters in the survey of 25,000 renters and homeowners combined say meeting their monthly financial commitments is very difficult. And more than half say they wouldn't be able to come up with $2,000 to cover an emergency expense. Homeowners, by comparison, feel much more stable. Half as many homeowners as renters say they find meeting their monthly bills very difficult, and nearly half say they have no trouble meeting their monthly expenses, according to the report. Because the cost of renting and buying varies so widely across the U.S., you have to take reports like these with a healthy dose of salt. In some metro areas like San Antonio and Phoenix, it's actually much cheaper to buy a home than rent. That's true. Houses are dirt cheap in San Antonio, but you don't get that much house because there's no basements. But the reality is that the cost of renting across the country is on the rise, straining the budgets of many renters. In the largest 25 metro areas in the U.S., rents increased by 5.5% in 2013, eating up more than 40% of the average renter's household income, according to Trulia. Most financial experts recommend spending less than 1/3 of income on housing. Let me stop right there. If you go back 30 and 40 years, a man can work at Sears as a salesperson or work in the auto center and not spend more than 8 to 10% on housing. Mostly everybody I grew up around owned their own houses, with the exception of the single female headed households. Everybody else owned their home. There wasn't nobody renting other than the low-life female headed household bitches who were tearing up the neighborhood with their little ghetto ass kids. They didn't spend more than 10% on their housing. Now you got people spending over a third on their housing. That's a fucking problem. That's a goddamn problem. I took a real estate class. No, it wasn't a real estate class. I took a mortgage broker class at a university near where I used to live at. And the guy explained, and I don't know where this part of his lecture came from. The guy was a mortgage broker that taught the class. And he was explaining how he had met with some CIA people who were working on some international real estate deals as well as real estate deals over here in the United States. I couldn't believe he said something like that in front of us. And the only people who were surprised were the two veterans in there. It was me and this other white dude. And after the class, I said, man, did you hear what he said about the CIA? He said, yeah, I caught that. Let me explain something to you guys. You have no idea what kind of hustles these white folks are running on you. You have no idea. While you sitting up here trying to get out of paying the Iceman $29.99 and sitting up here bitching about having to pay for something that you need, these motherfuckers are running multi-trillion-dollar games on your black ass. While you sitting there trying to scheme on some man and get some man to pay your cable bill or your rent, or you sitting over there able-bodied and you living in your grandmama attic or sleeping on her couch or living with your auntie or living in your mama's basement. These motherfuckers are out here running game, real game, not that little silly schoolyard shit you trying to run. Ha ha! I'm getting general relief out of the welfare, out the social services. Ha ha ha! I'm getting food stamps from social services. Ha ha! I'm getting welfare. Ha ha! And I'm getting child support out there. Sorry, baby daddy of mine. He. I'm getting over. Stupid ass niggas. The reason why the cost of renting is going up is because the trend that's in place today is that most people don't either have the down payment to buy a house or they don't have the credit to buy a house. Now remember, all of the three credit bureaus, Experian, I think is it still TransUnion and Equifax. Did I say them already? All of them were owned by private families until recently. These are publicly traded multi-billion-dollar companies. And none of them are government agencies. So you have to ask yourself, why is private companies deciding where I live? Why are private companies deciding whether or not I get a credit line or a credit card? You have to ask that question and look at your own situation. The system of credit is designed to put you in debt. So they figure if people can't or are not able financially to buy a home, what else are they gonna fucking do? They're gonna rent. And now that the apartment complex owners, the developers know they have a boom that they can tap into. If you look around the ATL, they're building apartment complexes all over the fucking place. Why? Because they can put multi-unit apartment complexes or even build condos, and you get more people in because you have multiple units. And you can charge more money because they can't buy a house. Where else are they going to go? They're either going to go to my competitor or they're going to come to me to get an apartment to rent. I knew the bottom was going to fall out of the economy when back in 2000, 2001, all the way up to 2005, people who I knew had horrible credit, who were barely holding on to jobs, were buying houses. Plus, I knew of several criminals who were flipping houses. Now, it's not against the law to rehab a house and flip it for money, whether you get make money or you take on a loss. It's not against the law to do that. But when you go out here and finance a mortgage with somebody else's credit, build the home, and then never live in it, but then you turn around and sell it, that's against the law. And a lot of people were going to jail over it. Because what they would do is they would set up these phony shell companies, and they would build the house with somebody else's credit, and then the bank would cut them a check for how much the house is worth after it gets appraised, and then the phony shell company walks away with the money after they send part of the money to the person whose credit they used and ruined. So what these people would do is they go to somebody and say, look, Barbara, you got perfect credit. Let's do this. I'm gonna get the bank to pay me to build this house. And once it's built, I'm gonna take 50 grand and I'm gonna pay you 100 grand. And that's what these people are doing. I have people in my family doing this shit. They lucky they didn't go to prison. That's against the law. But the government was allowing it to happen because what it was doing, it was putting money in people's pockets, and they were spending the money in the economy. So basically, the American economy, actually the international economy, which is totally dependent upon the American economy, was being propped up by people who were getting credit cards and buying houses that shouldn't have been buying houses and getting credit lines and getting credit cards. And once the game was over and it was a wrap, the bottom fell out of our economy as well as the international economies. And you had pension plans going belly up because they invested all their money into these mortgage securities, these bundles. that were worthless paper. They were worthless investments. And they almost wrecked the whole fucking planet's economy. Now that was the plan, to help to loosen the credit laws. See, you got to understand something. That whole thing that happened between 2007 and 2009 with our economy, that shit started with Reagan. When Reagan got in there, what they decided to do was loosen the credit policies of all of the 3 credit bureaus, which allowed people who shouldn't have ever had any credit get credit to buy houses, get credit lines, and get credit cards, whether they were Home Depot cards or Citibank Visa or Platinum Visas or American Express cards. Everybody was in on it. But they meant for it to collapse so that they can retool our economy to what it is today. But that shit started with Reagan and continued all the way through Clinton's presidency, all the way up to present day in President Obama's administration. So what they're going to do, just like they did back in the late 90s and early 2000s, they're in a minute they're going to loosen the credit policies again, and they're going to let people. You see, you have to understand something. What they're trying to do right now is grow the economy at the expense of the American citizen. Now, most of you are never going to understand what I'm talking about. You have to understand something. We have a very vulnerable and volatile economy that's not based on the gold standard anymore. And when you don't base your currency on gold, basically there's no collateral for your currency, which is why they don't call American currency money. It's referred to as a note. It's not actually money. Why? Because it's not backed by anything. What it is instant debt that is issued by the Department of the Treasury and purchased by the Federal Reserve Bank, which is not a United States federal agency like you think. Just because it's called Federal Reserve doesn't mean it's part of the federal government, because it never has been, just like the CIA isn't. The Federal Reserve Bank, which is in every state in this country, is a privately held central bank owned by the biggest shareholders are the Bilderberg Group. And then certain international businessmen, billionaires and millionaires, have shares in the Federal Reserve Bank. So every time you put money in the American banking system, the Federal Reserve takes their money off the top. You could say it's skimming, which is supposed to be illegal. So every dollar you put in the bank, the Federal Reserve takes about 60-70% of it. And the banks operate on the 30 cents that's left, and then, maybe you get some crumbs off of that. You have to think about it as the total economy as a whole. So the Federal Reserve is getting 70 to 80% of every dollar that's that's out here on the streets in circulation. That's debt, people. And this is how the system hustles us. And because they're keeping everybody divided in this country by race and socially and economically and politically, most people are so concerned about terrorism and ISIS and Al Qaeda and black people moving into their community, or black people sitting around worrying about people like the Iceman taking $29.99 out of their budget every month. Look at the shit they're running on us. I've had guys who claim they are teachers and other college educated, college working in careers that require a college education, and these guys are whining about paying $29.99, or when I had the $19.99 special, they up here trying to, they so goddamn cheap when it comes to paying money for information that might change their lives. But then they without even hesitating, they'll go sit up here and buy a $500 PS4 that they don't need. I've gone in people's houses where they got a game machine on every TV. But this is the guy, when you go out to drink with him, you have to buy all his drinks because he ain't got no fucking money. Or it's the guy that's the peacock who spends all his money on clothes, cars, and hoes, but yet he don't have, he's short on his rent by $50. Hey, Iceman, can I hold $50 till next payday? No, nigga. I ain't got no money for you. Why don't you go take one of them $1,000 suits back to the store? Maybe you'll have some fucking money. Why don't you get rid of that $50,000 automobile and maybe you have some money? Now, those of you who sit up here and talk shit and say, well, Iceman, why you sitting up here whining about people canceling their paid subscription? I'm not whining about that. But what I'm merely speaking of is the mentality behind the hypocrisy. And why is it that you'll give all your money to the white man and then try to squeeze the black man for the crumbs that you spend in his business? I think there's something. I think that's a sign of a mental illness. You gonna give all your money to your enemy, but when your black brother, your black sister comes to you and say, support my show, support my store, support my restaurant, you gonna give him crumbs and then sit up here and complain about it. But you'll go to nasty ass McDonald's or nasty ass Burger King or Morton the Steakhouse and spend $50, $60, $70, and the food is just okay or substandard, and you won't even complain to the white man about the meal. But you'll sit there and grin in his face and tell him how good it is, and then as soon as he walks away, you complaining about how your food is subpar. It's obvious you don't have your priorities in play here. Your priorities are all fucked up if you spending your money on Jordans and clothes and $300 belts and $2,000 purses, and you don't have just a little bit of money to spend on educating yourself, whether it's listening to my show or spending the gas money to drive to the library to check out books to educate yourself. You won't even do that. But you the first nigga to stand up here and complain about how there's racism in the United States and how the black man is being held in check by white supremacy and the black woman. You might as well sit down and shut the fuck up. I was looking at this. I don't know if it was a movie or a show. I can't remember where I heard this, but this brother was saying that he said poverty or being poor in America is more about making poor choices than it is about money. And I had to sit there and think about that, because that makes a lot of sense. Poor people in the United States live better than 70% of the people outside of the United States in these poor countries. And yet you sitting up here whining and complaining about being on welfare. But yet nobody made you go out there and have all them fucking kids that you can't take care of, that the county's got to be the daddy to. So when you look at a poor person, it's about how they spend their money, not necessarily how much money. When I see an able-bodied person sitting on their ass getting welfare, that makes me want to bitch slap your ass. Because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how is it that this guy or this woman thinks it's okay to eat out of another man's hand? And what kind of mentality it takes for somebody to do that? How does somebody do that? Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Through social engineering and indoctrination, you can brainwash somebody to do anything. The CIA does it every day. They have some very highly skilled people that work for the CIA that does brainwashing. And if you don't believe me, I really don't give a shit. Because you would never get it anyway. Because you're too busy playing video games. You so busy worrying about getting some ass and having ass in your face that your community looks like somebody just dropped their drawers and took a shit on the black community. Because the black man is too busy concentrating on dumb shit. And the white man is just tickled pink. He's tickled. Because that's one less nigger that he got to deal with. Most of you black men and women eliminate yourselves from competing for the same resources that your white oppressor takes for granted every day. And how you help the process of elimination is you go out here committing crime, getting felonies on your record and misdemeanors, going to prison, having a bunch of kids and you can't take care of them. Hanging around the wrong people and getting shot or stabbed and ending up being disabled. So now you can't work. You didn't have no skills before you got shot. Now that you're in a wheelchair, you really can't contribute shit. Now somebody else has got to help take care of your monkey ass. If you can't see the thinking behind all of that dysfunction, and you can't see that for what it is, cognitive distortions, something is inherently wrong with you. The federal government and corporate America has been manipulating your ass for 400 years. And it's time for black people to wake up. It's time for us to wake up, man. The bullshit ain't necessary no more. You have no excuse for not being educated. You have no excuse. What's the difference between being ignorant and being stupid? Ignorant is you don't know any better because you've never been exposed. Being stupid means you've been exposed, but you choose to keep doing the same dumbass shit. That's the difference between stupidity and ignorance. Which one are you? Because you're either one or the other. Those of you who come by my videos and leave stupid ass messages, you're either stupid or ignorant. Everything the white man does isn't necessarily out in the open in plain sight, but most of it is. The problem is you can't see it because either you're too ignorant or you're too stupid. How the fuck does McDonald's become a multi-billion-dollar company selling lousy ass fucking food? That's a question you need to answer. How the fuck can Taco Bell make all that garbage? I mean, man, there ain't nothing safe to eat at Taco Bell. Not even the fucking napkins. There ain't a goddamn thing Taco Bell sells that I'll eat, including the regular fucking crunchy tacos, which is what I usually bought from them 30, 40 years ago when they used to be good. Those of you who are as old as I am, if you ate at Taco Bell back in the 70s, it was like going to an independent Mexican restaurant. It was actually Mexican food. Fast forward 40 years, now the shit, I don't know what the fuck that shit is. How the fuck can Taco Bell be a multi-billion-dollar company and they sell lousy ass food? You need to ask that goddamn question. How can Mama and them soul food down the street from your fucking house or Sam's Barbecue Shack down the street from your house sell excellent food and they're only making $300,000 a year, and yet Taco Bell's making billions selling nasty ass garbage food? I wouldn't feed that shit to my dog. I wouldn't feed McDonald's food to my worst enemy. And yet you silly ass niggas get up off your dead ass every day and go over there and buy McDonald's food knowing that shit is lousy and unhealthy, as well as Taco Bell. But you ain't gonna never ever make a video on your channel about how nasty McDonald's food is or how nasty Taco Bell's food is and how much of a waste of your money it is. But you're going to sit up here and whine about paying $29.99 or getting up off your dead ass and riding the bus or the train down to the library and start checking out books so you can educate your dumb ass. But you're going to sit up here and complain about the Iceman charging for information. Information ain't free, motherfucker. If you want it, you got to pay for it. And either you going to pay the black man or the black woman to give it to you, or you going to pay out the nose to the white man to get it. And even then, he going to stiff your ass and give you a bunch of fluff and a bunch of bullshit you can't use. But you ain't going to complain about the white man selling you a bag full of rattlesnakes, but you gonna sit up there and complain about the Iceman and every other conscious black woman or black man who's trying to teach you the truth and uncover your eye to the bullshit that's going on around you. You gonna sit up here and demonize us and complain about us. But you ain't got shit to say about those white folks that's making all that money selling you nasty ass garbage food. I'm not saying that some McDonald's, there aren't some McDonald's that sell good food. There are some. And you know who's working in there? Black people that care about cooking food. I'll give you an example. There is a McDonald's that I usually go to when I used to fly. Before I moved here, I used to fly here to see my kids down here to the ATL. And I used to stay at hotels near the airport. And one particular hotel where I was staying at, there wasn't anything around that stayed open late enough for me to eat there. So the only thing that was open was McDonald's. And obviously this is Clayton County, South Atlanta, right near College Park, Colley Park. And I go in there and I'm like, I got to take a chance. I got to eat something. Because I ended up flying in and taking a nap. And when I woke up, it was like 7 or 8 o'clock. And everything else was closed down. And believe it or not, the McDonald's food at that McDonald's was good. The fries were fresh. The hamburger I ate was very good. I was very surprised. But guess who was working in there? Black men and black women. Because if you go to a McDonald's a mile down the street and it's all Mexicans working in there, the food is lousy as fuck. Or if you go to a McDonald's outside of the upper Midwest like Iowa and Minnesota, and you go to a fast food place and it's white folks, the food is lousy as well. But the question must be asked, how the fuck does McDonald's stay open? How the fuck do they do it? How the fuck does Taco Bell continue to make billions of dollars every fucking year selling nasty ass lousy food? I tell you how they do it. They use clever advertising. They use little little bullshit ass fucking songs in their commercials, and it's lighthearted. So you are under the assumption that these companies are not evil and that they're not trying to sell you garbage fucking food. And then you go, in real life, you go over there and you buy the food and it's lousy as fuck. But you don't complain to the white manager behind the counter. Oh no, you don't do that. You're not going to do that. You know why you're not going to do that? Because that's a white man, and to you that's white daddy. So you ain't going to complain to white daddy. But you're going to go down the street to Mama and them soul food, and because they forgot to put your candied yams in a separate container, you going to come in there and yell at them and talk shit to them because they black folk, because they look like you. So you going to go talk shit and haul off and be an asshole toward your own people, but yet you can't hold that white manager at that McDonald's accountable. That makes you a hypocrite and a fucking coward. I was talking to a relative the other day, probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we were talking about how the white man gets over. And he was talking about how a restaurant popped up over by his house, and all they sell is chicken tenders. That's all they sell. They either sell chicken tenders with fries and a roll, a biscuit or something like that, or they sell some type of chicken tender type sandwiches. And he said the concept is pure bullshit. Now, I haven't seen this restaurant chain outside of Texas, but I found it interesting that a white man can sit down and say, hey, I'm going to sell chicken tenders to the masses. Opens the restaurant, and it's a hit fucking restaurant, because I've actually gone to the restaurant that this relative told me about. And the chicken tenders taste just as good as like buying some chicken tenders out of their grocer's freezer. They were lousy as hell. They tasted like they had been frozen. But yet, this particular restaurant chain is talking all this shit about how great their chicken tenders are. Again, we're being sold a bag of rattlesnakes. See, this is how, you have to understand how the white man's mind operates. And I'm not talking about all white folks. I'm talking about the ones that run these businesses and run your governments, whether it's the county, city, state, or federal. You have to understand their mindset. They're gonna sell you bullshit, and you're gonna pay for it. They're gonna sell you a bag of rattlesnakes, and you're gonna buy it, because if the white man owns this business and he's promoting this business, you're gonna support it. After that particular restaurant sold me a chicken tenders platter or whatever the fuck it was they gave me. It was like 2 or 3 chicken tenders, some fries, and I think a biscuit. It was the food. If I was gonna give the food a grade, I would give it a D-. I know what you're thinking. Damn, Ice. You know, this is a restaurant that only sells frozen bullshit chicken tenders, and they're making money off that shit. Yes, they are, because the dining area was packed, and the drive-through had a gang of motherfuckers in it. And wasn't nothing in there but a bunch of white folks and some Mexicans. And you have to ask yourself, how does the white man profit off of bullshit and we can't do the same? First of all, you should never want to start a business to rip people off. You should never want to start a business to take advantage of people. And that's what a lot of white-owned businesses do. They take advantage of people. I'm not saying all of them do, but some of them do. You got white folks out here, their whole business model is to get over on the customer. You see that on these infomercials at 3 o'clock in the morning, selling these unbelievable fucking products. You know goddamn well there's nothing out there on the market where you could just spray some shit on a stain like oil or whatever, and all you gotta do is spray this little bullshit solution on your clothes and throw them in the washing machine, and they come out looking like you just bought them out the store. You know goddamn well that shit don't work. You buy that shit and get it home and use it, and it don't even work that good. But yet the state governments allow these companies to do that shit. There ain't no consumer protection out here. Look at GM sitting up here selling these Chevy Cruises, and these cars are jamming up. You know, you driving down the street and they just cut off on you. You can't control that steering wheel after that car cuts off because of an ignition problem. And people actually lost their lives because of that problem on those cars. And the sad thing about it is, these car companies know about their defective cars, and what they do is they put money aside for lawsuits, and it's cheaper for them to pay lawsuits than it is for them to fix the problem. You goddamn right, every last one of these car makers in this country that have made cars that actually killed people or people got seriously injured, they knew about the defective issue. And they did absolutely nothing. Why? Because they don't give a fuck. Because no matter how many defective Chevrolet Cruises they sell, it's not going to affect their brand one bit. And they're willing to pay some family $3 million for losing their relative rather than spend $50 million fixing the problem. Sounds like a cheaper alternative to me. Most of those cases, most of those wrongful death cases are going to be settled for less than $1 million. And the lawyer's going to get 40% of that. So these people who think they're going to get rich off a lawsuit, and I'm not saying that they all are doing that. Probably most of them are not doing it. They're doing it because they want the system to change. They want these companies to build safer cars. But truth be told, most of those people ain't gonna get no more than about $1 million, maybe $2 million. Because their lawyers are going to tell them that either we're going to let this drag through the court system for 10 years and you probably have to pay almost the whole settled amount in legal fees, or we just go ahead and settle out of court right now for $1.5 million. What do you think people are going to do? What do you think everyday working people are going to do? They're going to take the settlement. Because they know if they let this shit go to trial, that GM's got deep pockets. They're gonna fight that shit. So if they offer you $750,000 to shut the fuck up and drop your lawsuit, you gonna take it. The question must be asked: how do these white-owned companies get away with this shit? How do they get away with selling you a defective product? How the fuck do they keep selling you a bag of rattlesnakes and you keep buying it and I keep buying it? Because the white man's human social capital is set in your mind subliminally, and also in current and present day real time as highly valuable. So whenever a white man, even if he's scraggly and dirty and nasty and stankin', he can still sell you a bag of rattlesnakes, because the white man's social capital is considered to be the highest and the most valuable compared to everybody else. So no matter what the white man touches, you're going to pay for it, and you're going to pay through the nose, because that's what you call perceived value. You are under the assumption that the white man's ice is colder than yours. You are under the impression that what the white man sells is more valuable and more of a value to you than what the black man or the black woman is selling to you. So even though the black man's product might be cheaper and better in quality, you'll jump over him to buy the same product from a white man who's selling you a defective product that costs more. Due to what? Perceived value. I'm really selling you a bag of rattlesnakes, but because you're ignorant and stupid, I'm going to charge you a premium for this bag of rattlesnakes. And the sad thing about it is, every last one of us have bought those bag of rattlesnakes and stuck our hand in that bag and been bitten. Again, you do it every day when you go to McDonald's or Taco Bell or any white-owned business that is selling bullshit. This ideal of perceived value is the basis for the art of bullshit, or the art of bullshitting. And the white man's been getting away with it for 400 years. You go to any Latin American country, you go to any Asian country, you go to any African country, and those people will let the white man come in there and steal all their natural resources. They'll sign legal documents allowing them to do so. And yes, a lot of these countries have corrupt leaders. And the white man walks away with all of those natural resources, paying pennies of the dollar, pennies on the dollar to the people who helped them excavate that shit out of the ground, or manufacture it and make it into a product, and their government leaders look the other way. They don't have a problem with the white man coming in there selling them a bag of rattlesnakes, because it's the white man. Now, if their own people tried to sell that bag of rattlesnakes, they call foul. But as long as a white man is selling them bag of rattlesnakes, it's okay. My question to you, black man and black woman, is how long you and I are going to sit up here and let this shit happen before we wake up and realize that we're being played for fools? How many more white men and women are you going to allow to sell you a bag of rattlesnakes? Huh? How long are you going to sit there and when you deal with your own black folk, you going to throw the yellow flag on them and call foul? But yet the white man can sit up here all day, every day, and the white woman can sit here all day, every day, and sell you a bag of rattlesnakes. Explain to me how you think that's okay. Explain to me how you think that's okay and all right. I can send a white man, I can send a white woman into a room full of black men. She can be marginally attractive. She can be about a 4. And you niggas will empty your wallets trying to impress this white woman who is far less attractive than all the other women of color, including black women. For every white woman that looks like her, there's 100 million that look like Frumpty Dumpties and they're ugly as fuck. To every white woman that looks like that, there's a Frumpty Dumpty around the corner, like this one in the middle. Would you want to fuck her? Would you want to have her on your arm? Not based on her looks, you would, but because the perceived value of pale skin and in the white race, you would for that reason. You would be proud to have this woman on your arm. And that's because you're sick. Look at all the makeup this bitch got on her face and all the hair, all of the peroxide she got in her fucking hair. This woman is not attractive, but the perception with all the foundation and all the makeup and all the peroxide that she got in her hair, at first glance, you think that bitch is attractive. And she's actually a chunky ass Frumpty Dumpty. But obviously, the picture doesn't show her whole body. But again, we're talking about perceived value. This is what she really looks like. This white woman right here is about a what? About a 1 or a 2? No, she's not hella fat and all over the place, but she's not attractive. But believe it or not, most men of color in this country would date her because she's white, because of the so-called perceived value of pale skin and Caucasian in the Caucasian race, and the value that it brings to the social marketplace. White is quality. Black is less quality. You are the original man and woman that God created in his image and put on this earth. and yet you have less assets than everybody else in this country. The word on the street is that Jerry Jones is barely keeping up with the expenses of Cowboy Stadium, or now AT&T Stadium. That stadium cost $1.2 billion. Jerry Jones damn near over-leveraged himself on his credit to build that fucking stadium. They said he is doing a little bit better than breaking even. But they said the tickets at Cowboy Stadium are so goddamn high. And concessions are so fucking high. But people are going to pay for it. I know, because I used to work for the Arizona Cardinals. And I know how much they used to charge all of those companies to lease those spots and in the stadium. I knew exactly what they were paying. And I also knew exactly how much the food was. Yeah, they were selling high-end food, but that shit was still fucking ridiculous. $20 for an Angus burger and fries? Yeah, they gave you a lot of fries, and they poured butter and garlic all over that shit. And the Angus burger was very, very big. It was pretty large in size. But you paid $20 for it. That's not even including the drink. If you wanted to get a Coke, which they, University of Phoenix Stadium, they have an exclusive deal with Coca-Cola. Shit, the extra Coke, the 20-ounce Coke was fucking $4, $4 or $5. That shit wasn't cheap. Hell, a cup of beer was, I think, $8 for a little ass cup of beer. And them motherfuckers would come over there 4 or 5 times buying liquor, they had a bar, a liquor bar in there. But at the restaurant level, some of the vendors, the different restaurant vendors, they sold what'd they sell? They sold beer, just beer. I know exactly what those guys were paying. They were making a killing off that shit. At one home game at University of Phoenix Stadium, we were making somewhere around $3 million a game off alcohol and food. That's not even counting selling memorabilia, licensing products. That ain't even including buying Arizona Cardinals shirts, any of that shit. We were making $3 and $4 million a game. And that's not including the Fiesta, Fiesta Bowl? And the Arizona Cardinals going to the playoffs that particular year that I was working for them. That's not including every time they have a Super Bowl there. The Super Bowl is going to be there this year. Let me tell you something. Every Super Bowl is going to generate $5 or $6 million just off food and drink alone. You have no idea how much money these fools are making. And again, that's not including everything. That's not including licensing products that they sell at these games. The white man can go all over this country as well as all around the world and sell everybody a bag of rattlesnakes. You, on the other hand, cannot do that. Because only the white man can profit off of selling pain and lies to the masses. So I say to you today, am I your problem? Is the Iceman your problem? Am I the jackal or am I the hound dog, the polecat that's riding through the ghetto and selling black folks a bag of rattlesnakes, making these videos, or selling my business consulting services, doing business plans and whatnot, or providing mental health services to my clients? Is that about selling rattlesnakes to the black folk? Or is that providing a service, a badly needed service to the masses? You decide. You really need to think about that. Because it sounds to me like you have a cognitive distortion. Because you are delusional and in denial. And the sad thing about it is, most people, especially black people, don't have a problem with walking around blindfolded. You don't have a problem with that, as long as the white man is tying the blindfold around your goddamn eyes and your head. You don't have a problem with it. But as soon as a black man stand up or a black woman stand up and try to tell you the truth, all of a sudden you got a problem with that. You're quick to attack any black person that's trying to educate you. That's the art of bullshitting. To be able to fool somebody to hate on their own people and to destroy their own people. You got black women out here, all they do all day long is try to manipulate and destroy black men. And the government is giving them the legal foundation to do it. None of you are complaining about that. But yet you want to sit up here and ooh and ah over some stanky ass fucking white girl just because you might see one white girl with a big ass and big titties and she happened to be sexy and attractive. But yet you haven't stopped to think that there's only 4 out of the whole bar of 50 women that look good. All the rest of the white women are not even attractive. But you're so blinded by perceived value of whiteness that you can't see the forest for the trees. Let me explain something to you, and this is in reference to this article that I was reading from a bit earlier. The scums who are running your government, the Bilderberg Group, the Council on Foreign Relations, all those, the Trilateral Commission guys, you have to understand something. They don't have a problem sacrificing middle class and low income class white folks to continue to keep you under the burden of white supremacy. They'll sacrifice poor whites and middle class whites to keep your ass down. So even though you got more white people than ever before living paycheck to paycheck and barely making it, and losing their jobs and losing their homes, and they're ending up in the street, they're willing to sacrifice those white folks to keep your black ass down. So even though some of these new economic policies are fucking with everybody's bottom line, it's you they really are trying to target, because you are the original man and woman, and you hold the key to genetic human existence, as well as the key to human survival, but only in reference to black human survival, not theirs. You see, you have to understand something. White Caucasian people are a mutation of the black man and the black woman. So it's kind of like being when you talk about genetic mutation, you're talking about an error being made. And that error is the white man. When we migrated to Europe and I won't say evolved, but devolved over the years and became Caucasians due to the cold climate and the loss of melanin. The loss of melanin creates an imbalance in those people. So that's why white folks don't have a problem being mean and evil and shooting you in the street, because the lack of melanin is what gives you balance. The lack of having melanin, which is an alkaline in your system, people with the most melanin are the most stable, mentally stable, and emotionally and physically stable people on the planet. You got to understand something. Black people had no diseases before the Europeans showed up. We had no diseases because we were living exactly the way God intended us to live. We lived off the land, we were fruitful, and we multiplied. And the white man, and we were happy. We danced to the rising of the sun, and we were in tune with nature. And then the white man came along and fucked all that up, because he had to create civilizations that benefited him and shitted on the rest of us. So now you look at Caucasians around the world, they're living the high life while you live the low life. But most of that is because you refuse to invest money or create black businesses, and then on the other hand support black owned businesses so that your communities thrive. But instead, your brainwashed ass will drive 50 miles across the city to some white mall in some suburban area where nothing but rich, racist ass white people live, and spend all your fucking money. Then you go all the way back to where you live at and wonder why there's no jobs. You go back to your neighborhood and wonder why everybody's killing each other and stealing from each other and cannibalizing everybody else. You can't figure out why that is. Well, the reason why that is because you don't spend your money in your own community. So if you don't spend money in your community dies. And the CIA knew that. And that's why they helped set up these black and brown gangs. Because they knew if they destroyed the black family and they took the black man out of the equation of being the head of the household, who was left? The gullible, stupid ass woman. And you know women go for everything. So what they did is they took the black sons that came from these dysfunctional families, and they gave them gangs and drug dealing and criminal behavior. They steered them toward that shit, and they steered the young black woman toward welfare, and they fooled the black woman into thinking that feminism was for them. And the white woman got all the spoils of war and all the financial benefits and the careers and the high paying jobs, and all the black woman got was welfare and no husband and no boyfriend. But black women are too stupid to admit that they made a mistake and that they need to correct it. No, what black women do is they just stand around and complain about black men. Yet these black men are the same black men who are coming from their wombs. How can you complain about somebody that comes from your body? I made a video for the paid subscribers called "Why the," and it was actually it was something I got off the internet. And the name of the videos is a part 1, and I just posted part 2 because I know I'm getting ready to head out. So I was going to go. I went ahead and posted it for the paid subscribers, and it's part 1 and part 2. Why does the black man hate the black woman? And basically, the argument that I lay out is, and I go into very specific details as to why this black woman wrote this article in the first place. See, you got to understand something. With feminism, American women feel like they don't have to be accountable to no man. They don't have to be accountable for their own actions. They can make poor decisions, do stupid shit, and not be held accountable. But the only person who's supposed to be held accountable is a black man or other men, other American men. This is why women are walking around talking shit, talking about we need to man up. Man up to what? When are you going a woman up? You sitting up here complaining about what men are doing. What the fuck are you women doing? Other than sitting around fucking every man that you think got some fucking money. And then ending up being a 35-year-old broke single mom with no fucking future. So now you're going to sit somewhere and complain about men. While you sipping on your bullshit ass, cheap ass Moscato wine. That don't cost no more than 5 cents a glass. Nasty shit. You gonna sit somewhere and complain about men after you done went out here and chased all these bikers and personal trainers and drug dealers and gang members. After you done had babies with all these motherfuckers, now you gonna sit somewhere and complain about talking about American men ain't shit. American men need to man up. Black men need to man up. Why does the black man hate the black woman? The black man don't hate black women. The black man hates what the black woman has become and how she behaves. Let me tell you something. Most black women ain't nothing but a white woman with brown skin. That's all black women are. They're a white woman. They have the white woman's mentality. They have the white oppressor's mentality. With black skin, with brown skin. That's it. And that's why black men and black women can't get along. Because black women want the same social benefits and monetary benefits that the white woman has been able to enjoy. And out of frustration, the black woman wants to blame black men for not being able to get any of the spoils of war, of feminism. So white women go to work every day and see Becky, who ain't half as smart as she is, move up the corporate ladder higher than her, and Becky might not even have a degree, but she's able to ascend to the higher echelons of the corporate in the corporate arena because she happens to be white. Meanwhile, you got to go get an MBA from a leading school, and even then you still might not be promoted. The black woman is the purest example of a square peg trying to fit into a round hole. You ain't gonna never be accepted in America. But you can't tell black women that. Black men have accepted that, and we have adapted. At least some of us have. But black women are in total denial. Black women actually think that if they pray to white Jesus and become a Christian and come to work and keep her head down, act like a total sellout at the job, that good things are going to come to her, and she is going to be able to reap the benefits and receive the same benefits that white females enjoy and take for granted. And that's not ever going to be the case. But you know the white man's going to spend millions of dollars making black women think that they're going to be, that they're equal to white women in social capital, in perceived value. And every day, the white man and the white woman is slapping black women upside the head and telling them that they're not good enough. But yet, they take their frustrations out on black men. Well, if the black man manned up and protected his neighborhood and his community and did what the fuck he's supposed to do, well, I wouldn't have to go through this I wouldn't have to go through this bullshit. That's the kind of shit black women are walking around talking. The reason why the black neighborhoods are not black communities anymore is because of nasty ass feminist, Nazi feminist minded, no good black women. The I can do it by myself bitch. Well, go ahead and do it by yourself, bitch. And sitting up here raising dysfunctional kids who might be smart, might be book smart, but common sense dumb. And these same idiots go out here in the world and the white man kick them in their ass because they ain't got no discipline. They might be smart, but they ain't got no discipline. And here they go, or some old 40-year-old woman coming back to her fucking mama house because she done made poor decisions. She got kids, been married, and the daddy don't want to have nothing to do with her stinking ass. Now she back at home with her mom talking about, I fucked up. And now they looking for a simp to come along. They're looking for the maintenance man to come along and manage that bullshit. And get mad because black men like me and some of you don't want to be bothered with these black women. So now these black women want to walk around talking shit because the only type of men they can get at their age and as fat as stank as they are is gangbanger, old ass OG gangbangers and drug dealers and other hood niggas, assorted hood niggas. That's all they can get. Because every time they tried to upgrade, get a nigga like me or you, what happened? We fucked them and dropped their ass. Let me look at my cell phone and find Rochelle's number in here. Delete. Oh, it was some good pussy. But I don't want to be that bitch's man. Now that bitch walking around frowned up and with her grill cooking because she mad because some educated nigga done fucked her and dropped her ass. Now she want a good man at 50. Now she want a good man at 45 after she done fucked all the hood niggas and had babies by them. Now she want a good man. Now she want to get in church and start sending praises up to white Jesus. And wonder why her life ain't gotten no better the whole 5 years she been going to church. I pray every time you talk to her. I praise the Lord. Hallelujah. You should hear these old ignorant ass niggas down here in the ATL with their Christian bullshit. Praise God. My nasty ass ex-wife is all on that bullshit. every time she say some shit like that, I just laugh my ass off. Man, I laugh in that bitch's face. Oh, she hate that shit. I said, bitch, when we were together, you never drove past a church. Now you all of a sudden, you a prayer warrior? All of a sudden now you a sanctified woman? Bitch, please. I be laughing in her fucking face. That bitch hate my ass. Cause deep down inside, she knows she fucked up. Now she gotta sit up here and live off some retarded ugly nigga. I can't stand that nigga. You don't talk about a man like that you done set up here and lived off of for the last 15 years. Why would you talk about a man like that? But see, that's how ungrateful and nasty and hateful and evil black women are. They don't appreciate shit. That's why when you get these simps that come along and say they'll take care of some other man's kids and they'll lick their asshole, they run them niggas in the ground. And them niggas keep coming back for abuse. They keep coming back to get abused. Because they're so hard up for a piece of ass, they're willing to do anything. It ain't gonna get no better, people. It's gonna get worse. And as long as you accept a white man selling you a bag of rattlesnakes and telling you it's lemon meringue pie or it's an apple pie or it's a sweet potato pie, and you reach your dumb ass hand in there to grab that pie or that $100 bill out that bag of that sack of rattlesnakes, you deserve to be bitten. You deserve it. Especially since you won't allow a black man to sell you a bag of rattlesnakes for a cheaper price. Black people are doing themselves in politically, economically, and socially, and we don't even have the sense to know or to understand or to figure out what's actually going on. Because you have to look at it this way. If there's, let's get something straight. White people, an overwhelming number of white people in this population are still doing pretty well. But again, according to white supremacy, they don't have a problem sacrificing poor and middle class whites and ignorant and handicapped and genetically inferior white people. They don't have a problem sacrificing those folks to keep you down. And like I said, every 3 or 4 years, or every 4 or 5 years, maybe a little longer than that, but it seems like every 6 or 7 years we have a financial calamity, or we have a boom in the economy. And all of it is based on what? The ideal that you can buy purchase value for pennies on the dollar. And when it's all said and done, when you get through paying for it, you're paying an exorbitant amount of money for a product and or service that's not worth the money you spent, you purchased it for. This is one of the reasons why I don't celebrate Christmas. Because first of all, Christmas is born out of a Roman holiday where Roman men gave each other gifts and then got drunk and then fucked each other in the ass. You don't believe me? Look that shit up on Google. I think it's called Centenaria or something like that. That's where the idea of commercialized Christmas and Santa and all that old bullshit, that's where that shit comes from. But yet, come next month, all you dummies will be over there at Best Buy and the malls and other retail outlets on Black Friday blowing all your fucking money on PS4s and flat screens TVs and Jordans and everything else you can't afford, trying to buy social capital and buy a higher perceived value in a white dominated, white privileged American society. And after you go and spend $250 on LeBron's or $200 on Air Jordans, or you go out there and buy that $1,500 flat screen TV, or you go out there and buy that $55,000 Lexus SUV, at the end of the day, you still a nigger to the white man. But yet you still haven't figured that shit out. Buying a PS4 and a bunch of games ain't gonna make your life any better. As a matter of fact, if you can resist the temptation of buying that shit, and you are able to save some money and buy some things that are going to improve your life or help you start a business and help you become financially independent, then it was well worth it. But no, most of you want to sit around and take your chances and try to work for the white man and then get mad because you got to eat out of his hand and he ain't feeding you properly. Somebody sent me a link to an article about what's going on in Chicago. And the article talked about how there were scores and scores and long lines of black men in Chicago trying to find jobs. And they were talking about how difficult black men have it in Chicago, and that the unemployment rate was something like 70 or 80% for black men in Chicago. And they showed a picture of all these black men lined up around the corner at a job fair. And I was thinking to myself, black folks keep knocking themselves in the head. There is no way in hell that I'm going to be an able-bodied black man or woman and not try to find some way to feed myself on my own. Maybe I'm just different. Maybe because I was raised in a stable two-parent household, maybe, and I had parents who were frugal, maybe that's just part of how I was raised. But I guarantee none of those black men that were pictured standing in that line trying to get a nothing job, I guarantee none of that shit crossed their mind that maybe I need to get out here and feed myself. Maybe I need to start my own business so I don't have to keep fucking with the white man. Because it's obvious, as old as I am today, that motherfucker's never gonna feed me properly. It's just like, here's how the white man thinks. If I live in $1 million house and I see your broke black ass out on the street homeless, and I'm one of these left-wing Democrat liberals, bleeding heart liberals that have a soft spot for the less fortunate, and I bring your black ass into my house. Again, I'm the white man. I know it's hard to believe, but let's just play with this. Let's roll with this for a minute. And the first day I feed you pretty good. You eat the same thing I'm eating. Well, after a few days, what happens? And this is you living in the white man's house. What do you think's gonna happen? Every day he's going to give you less and less. After about 2 weeks, you're eating table scraps that he don't want, and if he does buy you any food, it's canned goods and it's shit that tastes like shit and that you really don't want to eat. But you eat it anyway because you're getting free room and board. That is the concept of you living in America and getting welfare and general relief and food stamps. Or just sitting on your ass living off some female relative. Because women do the same shit. Women will go be 40 years old moving with their goddamn mamas. A grown ass woman moving into the house with her mama, manipulating her mama, because all the manipulating she was doing on the men, it hasn't worked long term. So now she hustling her mama and got a no good kids up in her mama house. Oh, black women pull that shit too. It ain't just black women, it's all women that do that shit. Just like everybody's race group has bum ass men. They just don't put their men on display like black people do. They don't demonize, they help the white man demonize their men like black women do us and some of you black men do. But it's a shame that all of those, there are so many black men, and not just in Detroit or Chicago, that can't find a fucking job. It's nationwide. Do you really think the white man's gonna let you eat out of his hand for free without you giving up your dignity in return? You think the white man's gonna let you eat out of his hand and he's gonna feed you the same food he's feeding himself? You think he's gonna sit up there and eat a $30 porterhouse steak and you gonna sit there right next to him and eat a porterhouse steak too? No. He's gonna feed you spoiled bologna and lunch meat and potted meat out of can. He's gonna feed you beefaroni and other nasty ass shit out of a can while he eats $50 steaks and $20 lobster. That's what he's eating while you eat garbage. Every year after Labor Day, the scums of Wall Street and the scums that run our government, as well as academia, they all get together and they do a forecast. Well, actually, the planning is a year in advance. And what they do is they do a forecasting of what they think they're going to make off of the next year's holiday shopping season. So what they do is they do research. They hire academics from these universities and some that do consulting on the side, and they all get together, and what they do is they forecast what the sales will be for the coming year. So what they do is they tweak certain components of the American economy. And so what they do, and one of the tweaks that is very apparent and in plain sight is the dropping of the gas prices. They try to act like, oh, it's the market, and the market is not, the market does what it wants to do. It's like a cyborg from the Terminator movies. It just does what it wants to do. The market is not rigged, and it's not managed by human beings. It's a living and breathing synthetic organism that does its own thing. If you believe that, you're a fucking fool. So what the scums get together and they do, once they do their forecast, and they say, well, what do we need to do so that Americans have the money to spend during the holiday season? So what the scums do is they take their forecastings and they make adjustments. So what they do after Labor Day, after they done charged, $3 and, I guess gas was probably about $3.55. I think I paid I think I paid about at least $3.55 per gallon for gas here in where I go get gas in the ATL. And after Labor Day, mysteriously, gas prices have dropped at some places where I go get gas, like Costco and Sam's Club. The gas went from $3.54 a gallon after Labor Day weekend. Now it's down to $2.93 a gallon. Now you're going to sit there with all of the so-called conflicts that are going on in the Middle East and the risk of bringing oil out of the Persian Gulf. The risk has gone up, which when they assess the risk, they automatically jack up the price per barrel of oil. And then obviously they factor in production and distribution of that, of turning that oil into oil products or petroleum, gasoline. And the futures people on the mercantile exchange sell those futures for astronomical numbers, for astronomical prices. And that's what makes the price per gallon, at the consumer level, that's what sets the price of gas. So mysteriously now, gas in my area, the ATL, is down to $2.95, $2.93 a gallon. Just that quick. Labor Day was just last month. So what they're doing is they'll drop it down to $2.50 if they have to. If they feel that's the only way Americans are going to have money to spend during the holiday season. And every year, without fail, they don't even wait till after New Year's Day. New Year's Day, the gas will go up 20 to 30 cents. Every year they pull this shit. Every year the white man sticks that bag of rattlesnakes in your face and in my face, and we say nothing about it. The market is not a living, breathing organism, whether it's organic or synthetic. It is not an organism or some type of operation that functions on its own by some supercomputer. It's being manipulated by men and women. And they are making all the profits, and we're paying for it. So some rich redneck asshole is sitting somewhere with a $100 cigar saying, I wonder how much money, how much nigger money and how much spick money and cracker money and slant eye money we gonna get this year for me to go buy another Bulgari. Well, what's that name of that car? Bulgaria or something like that? Or how many more Bentleys am I gonna buy off of nigger money? Okay? These assholes sit around and they talk about us like that. That's why I don't give them motherfuckers no extra money. I spend money on what I need and sometimes on what I want every now and then, and I take the rest of it and I either help other black people out in my family that need help, or I put the money back into my businesses. I refuse to go out here and help some rich white motherfucker buy another 200-foot yacht. by buying PlayStations and Xboxes and all kind of other dumb shit that I know I don't need. The cars, clothes, and hoes mentality. Or the boats and hoes mentality. Boats and hoes, boats and hoes. Gotta buy me more boats and hoes. The fuck out of here, man. You sitting around here bitching and talking shit and talking about I ain't giving the Iceman $29.99 for a monthly subscription, but you gonna sit up here and give this fat cat redneck asshole that don't give a fuck about you $500 for a new PS4. And then you're gonna go out and spend $300 on games. But you okay with that? Or you gonna go out here and buy some car on credit and pay out of your ass for it? Just so you can parlay and do parking lot pimping at the club and the bar, trying to get some bitch to look at you. Or if you're a black woman, you gonna go out here and spend money on a $2,000 purse just so you can try to make yourself feel you're equal to white women. And the white woman in the elevator that's standing next to you, and who compliments on that beautiful handbag you just bought, she thinking of herself, this dumb black bitch that went out here and bought a $2,000 purse, and yet this bitch can't even pay her fucking rent. She got to go out here, get on online dating, or go out here and hang out at bars and date men just so these men will pay for dinners and movies and drinks, because she ain't got no money left to pay for that shit, because she's too busy buying Jimmy Choo shoes for $800. And that white woman that's standing up there with the $50 purse, she's sitting there laughing at your dumb ass. I wouldn't never go out and spend $1,000 on a purse. I might go in the store and pick one up and hold it and feel it and rub on it. But I'm not going to buy it, because I'm planning on paying for my kids' education. Religion was designed to fool us, and Madison Avenue creates advertising to mind fuck your ass into reaching your hand in that bag of rattlesnakes and paying to do it. The white man don't fuck with the Iceman. You know why the white man don't fuck with the Iceman? Because he knows he will never be able to sell me on reaching my hand in that bag of rattlesnakes. He know I would never do it. And I'm not going to pay him to do it. Some of you niggas are paying the white man to stick your hand into a bag of rattlesnakes to be bitten. That's the funny thing about it. It's just like something President Lyndon B. Johnson said while he was in office. He said that it's a wonderful thing to be able to trick the poor white Southerner into believing that the black man is his nemesis. And in return, he will give you all his money. I don't even have to reach in his pocket to take it. He's willing to give it to me. Not only are you a product of social engineering, and your behavior and your cognitive distortions is a manifestation of that, so is poor whites and middle class whites. Because you have to understand, low income whites and middle income whites want to be the next Bill Gates. They want to be one of the Walton kids who own Walmart. They want to be them. And even though realistically speaking they will never get to that level, they think they have something in common with Bill Gates because he's Caucasian. And the white man is not only selling a bag of rattlesnakes to you and Hispanics and Asians, but he's also selling that bag of rattlesnakes to white people to fellow white folks. Like I said, he doesn't have a problem sacrificing his own to keep you down. Most of you, this information is going to go over your head, and you're going to sit there and you're going to say, you know, Iceman's full of shit. Oh, the Iceman show ain't shit. The Iceman's ignorant. The Iceman's ghetto. Oh, here he go, whining about people unsubbing and or whining about people canceling their subscription to the show. There are going to be people who are going to do that. But there's going to be a handful of you who is going to get the message, and you're going to put some plan into action. You have to understand something. Somebody that has the time to come by a video and listen to it, but then sit up there and complain and write stupid ass responses, you have to ask yourself, how much time does this asshole have on his or her time? How much time they got to waste? How much of their day do they sit around doing nothing? Because people who have a job, people who have something to do, people who have things going on in their life positively don't have the time to sit around and make nasty responses to videos. They ain't got time to listen to videos. But for some reason, this nigga does. So the first thing, the thing that I say to you is, the impression I want to leave upon you today is, how many more times are you going to allow the white man to sell you a bag of rattlesnakes? And then on top of that, how many times is you going to let him con you into sticking your hand in a bag full of rattlesnakes so you can get bitten? You know, at some point, I got tired of being bitten by rattlesnakes every time I stuck my hand in that bag. And I finally got the message, and I got out of the rat race. I said, fuck this shit, I'm checking out. I'm not going to continue to put up with this corporate American bullshit. I'm the most educated up in this goddamn company, yet there's white dudes who got less education than I do, and they're making the same amount of money, if not more. I was like, fuck this shit. Yeah, they were paying me a lot of money, but like I said again, they was paying the white boy more money, and he had less education and less experience, and he was a stupid motherfucker. But that didn't matter. Because of what? Perceived value of pale skin and Caucasian race. So everywhere you go, black man and black woman, you're going to be a square peg trying to fit in a round hole living in North America. Whether you in Canada or you live here. And in some cases, living in other parts of the world. Especially where there's majority white folks. You're going to be a square peg that cannot fit and will never fit into a round hole. And the sooner you figure this shit out, the better. Because to me, it's a serious character flaw for you to accuse me and label me a crook, because I'm trying to sell you information that you can use to improve your life. You're willing to sit there and call me a crook, and yet nowhere in any of these videos have I tried to sell you a bag of rattlesnakes. But it shows me that you have a character flaw when you think that when you pay $29.99 for a subscription to the Iceman show, that there's no value in it. But if I made comedy videos every day or every other day or once or twice a week, you would see the value in my show. Well, again, if you come to the Mad Voodoo Man channel or the Iceman Show channel, you're not going to get coonery. What you're going to do is get objective information that can hopefully uplift you and give you a foundation to stand on so that you can go out here and slay these dragons and get your money like a real black man and woman should. When you're sitting around criticizing your own people and demonizing your own people, you're letting the white man off the hook. Now again, he just sold you a bag of rattlesnakes and charged you a price and a premium to stick your hand in the bag. So not only are you paying for the bag of rattlesnakes that you can't use, but you're also paying to stick your hand in the bag. So the white man got you going and coming. But you ain't got no complaints about that shit. Again, Taco Bell can sell you food that's not fit for a dog and make $1 billion a year, and you still eat there. But yet, every time you buy that shit, you get a stomach ache, and you complain about how the food ain't shit. But you keep going to McDonald's and Taco Bell and all these other restaurants because you've been conditioned that white-owned businesses have more value and their product is superior to that of the same product that comes from a black-owned business that might cost less and might be better quality. If you don't see the problem with that, that's an even bigger issue. Because most of you are delusional and you're in denial about where you stand in America as a black man or a black woman. And it's more comfortable for you to shit on the Iceman or to shit on a black business owner, and also it shows cowardice on your part to do that, to shit on your own people, but yet you got all the time in the world to go across town to Hunky McGee's malls and his restaurants, the Shays Whitey the Restaurante. And you go over there to Shays Whitey's Restaurante and the food ain't shit. Your blind ass grandmama food tastes better than that shit, but you'll go over there and spend $30 a plate on that bullshit and then not even complain that the food was lousy. But you'll go out there and buy the white man's mediocre shit. Don't provide no value whatsoever. I don't know what else to say. Except for, I hope someday you snap out of it. Because I did. I had to. There was no way I was going to be able to keep up appearances working in corporate America because I hated it. I couldn't do it no more, man. I had to get the fuck up out of there. You can start turning the tide on the bullshit today. And this has nothing to do with you buying a subscription to the Iceman Show or paying for mental health or anything like that. This has nothing to do with any of that. In order for black women and black men and black children to survive in America, we have to build businesses that are going to employ black people and sell products and services to everybody, including black people. If you open a law firm, there ought to be a line going out the door with black people hiring you to do perform legal services for them. If you're a black-owned restaurant, it should be filled up with black people in the line around the corner. And if that's not happening, you might need to look in the mirror and look deeper into your soul and figure out why it is that this is not working. They are conditioning black men and women to cancel themselves out and to use our own black and brown hands to destroy ourselves. No longer does the white man have to put on a sheet and ride down on black folks and burn crosses on lawns. They ain't got to do that no more. You're doing the work for them. When black women go out here and have these babies knowing damn good and well neither them or the father have the financial infrastructure to take care of this child, and yet the black woman keeps having babies and the black man keeps impregnating her like a fool. The best way to eliminate a group of people is to teach them how to eliminate themselves. And that's one of the reasons why they make sure gang members have plenty of dope and plenty of guns. And they have brainwashed black women into thinking that the black man has caused all the problems as to why there's no jobs and no prosperity in the black communities. They have fooled the black woman into thinking that she could be a feminist along with white women. They fooled black women into thinking that Christianity and white Jesus was going to solve all their problems. And at the end of the day, there are more black women sleeping alone than ever before because they can't get and keep a man. And the only men they can get are weak ass punks who don't mind being manipulated by a woman and being told to do by a woman, because these niggas are such pussy hounds and pussy beggars that they'll put up with anything. I know because I got those kind of black men in my family. And every time you see them, they sitting around with their grill cooking, pissed off because they done sat up here and let some trifling ass new wife take all their fucking money. I got a relative right now. He gonna go bring this Cuban woman over here from Costa Rica. I met her one time and I went to Costa Rica. He gonna bring some old Cuban woman over here, and this particular relative's a millionaire. He gonna bring this Cuban woman over here. First of all, she was old as fuck when he brought her over here. When he brought her over here, she was about 36, 37. Now she's like 52, 51 or 52. And he's like 10 years older than her. And now she done brought her no good kids over here from Cuba. And all they've been doing since they've been over here is raising hell. This motherfucker done tried to pay for their education, pay for the daughter to try to go to college down there in Texas. And she gonna sit up here and drop out of school and marry some wetback that installs carpet. And the son, when she brought the son over here, this is how nasty them Cubans are, and some of these folks in these other countries. This boy is probably about 20, the youngest son. This boy, let me tell you how nasty these motherfuckers were. They had this boy sleeping in bed with his grandmother. Do you know that she start molesting this motherfucker and making him fuck her? That he had been fucking the grandmother? Man, this shit is sick. And the mama knew about it. So she been over here nursing her grandson's dick, sleeping in the same bed with him. And then they bring him over here. They try to get him set up so he can take care of himself, and he gonna sit up here and hit my relative upside the head. And my relative had to beat his ass, and he ended up going to jail. leaving this woman access to his $1 million house. Then he gets out of jail and deals with goes through a diversion program, spends $10,000 on lawyers and fees to the government. And then this same no good son of this bitch he married, the son drops out of Job Corps or finishes Job Corps, still don't get a job. All he wants to do is sit around in his room at my relative's house and jack off of porno. Because what my relative was doing, he was checking his computer history to see what if he was actually looking for a job, and he looked in there and all he was doing was jacking off the porn. Now this boy is 20, I think he's 21 now. Do you know about 3 months ago, this little motherfucker tried to poison his own mama? And I said to another relative, I said, hey man, you know, that nigga gonna end up on the ID channel. He gonna end up on the ID channel. He gonna end up being a story on the ID channel where some bitch done sat up here and done cooked up a plan to kill his ass. I mean, her own son tried to poison her. I forgot what he did. I think he poured. She asked him to buy her a Gatorade or a Powerade or something like that, and he went and poured antifreeze in it, or something like that in it. And she took one sip of it and figured out it tasted real funny, and so she took it. I can't remember exactly how he ended up getting arrested, but my relative made her file a police report, and they tested the Gatorade and found poison in it. Oh, he put arsenic in it. That's what he did. He put arsenic in there. He didn't put antifreeze. He put arsenic in there. He tried to kill his own mama. And this stupid ass relative of mine, do you know this nigga still married to this bitch? He still keep trying to make this marriage work? I'm like, man, you an ignorant motherfucker. You stupid as hell. I lost all goddamn respect for this motherfucker, man. And he still let that bitch in the house. I said, yeah, this time he tried to kill his mama. The next time he gonna conspire to kill they gonna get together and kill his ass. Now, according to another relative, he said that a lawyer relative of ours helped him draft a prenup agreement. Now they've been together about 5 or 6 years, but they only been married about 3 or 4 years. So it ain't hit 10 years yet, which is the magic number. In 10 years, that prenuptial agreement ain't gonna be worth the paper it's printed on. Okay? But this is what happens when simps get a little money and go out here and get single moms who really, you know, first of all, he got this bitch right off the track. And those of you who don't know what the track is the whole stroll. Okay? There's a hotel down there in San Jose called the El Rey. And it's basically the whole stroll. Okay? And this bitch, he talk about, she was a server in there. Bullshit. That bitch, this is what we call drinky girls. Drinky girls in these foreign countries, what they do is they sell drinks and they sell pussy out of both pant legs. Okay? Not only is she serving you a beer, but she's also taking orders for pussy. Or to give up pussy. So I told everybody in the family, I said, that motherfucker's lying. She wasn't no goddamn waitress. She was a goddamn drinky girl. She was on the whole straw. She was selling pussy. Why else would she leave Cuba and go to a tourist spot and be posted up in there? Half the women in there was from the Dominican Republic or Venezuela or Colombia. A lot of Colombian bitches in there. Bitches from the Dominican Republic were in there. Get the fuck out of here. Talking that dumb shit. Motherfuckers love the food they sells, man. You talk, she was a waitress. I said, no, man, that bitch was a drinky girl, man. You a damn fool for bringing that nasty bitch over here. Bitch be getting mad and leaving and be gone like 2 days. And then bitch will come back and be like, oh, I was at my daughter's house. I told my other relatives, I said, that motherfucker's stupid, man. He a damn fool. Whenever a bitch leave my sight like that, I assume that bitch is with another nigga. And I ain't gonna let that bitch back in the house, especially since I'm living in a paid off $1 million house that I paid for, and this bitch don't have no ownership to it. But when you fuck around and get legally married to one of these nasty ass whores, you go up in there and try to get divorced, and you get the wrong goddamn judge, you gonna fuck around and get to losing some shit. But you know what? You can't tell Captain Saberhole Simps and Tricks anything. You tune into the Iceman Show. I'm your host, the Iceman. Go by AskTheIceman.com for information on subscriptions to the Iceman Show. Turn a friend, co-worker, or relative on to the Iceman Show. Maybe I might be able to change their life. Maybe not. Maybe they can get a little bit of information and change their lives. You tune into the Iceman Show. I'm your host, the Iceman. Holler at your boy.